On the morning of September 29th, 1982, a 12-year-old girl in suburban Chicago woke up with a cold. Her parents gave her one extra strength Tylenol. Within hours, she was dead. By the end of the week, 6 more people would die exactly the same way, and every single one of them did the most ordinary thing imaginable. They took a painkiller they bought at the store. 7 dead, a nationwide panic, and more than 40 years later, no one has ever been charged. This is the Tylenol murders. The first victim was Mary Kellerman, 12 years old, from Eric Grove village. A sore throat, a single capsule, and she collapsed on the bathroom floor. The same day in nearby Arlington Heights, a 27-year-old postal worker named Adam Janis died suddenly. Doctors first assumed a heart attack. But here's where this case turns from a tragedy into something much darker. That evening, Adam's younger brother Stanley and his wife Teresa came to the family home to grieve. With grief comes headaches. They reached for the same bottle of Tylenol that was sitting in Adam's house. Within 48 hours, both of them were dead too. 3 members of one family, one bottle.
You know what? The thing which gets me is the fact that Janus and the family, they already had a death, right? I've seen many cases, but the fact that the death was waiting at the counter, that is kind of new.
Exactly. So that's the main problem of this whole case. It's like we know, we now know that what is the reason for this, but at the point when the investigation was happening, to deduce the motive, to deduce the reason for what this was happening, to connect the victims, it was such a trouble for the investigators at that point.
This case is what actually made America scared of everything, I hear.
Yeah,
It's
it
true.
is. It is. And the case, you will see towards as we progress how the suspect list comes, how the investigators process.
And I'm very interested in hearing more. Let's get on with it.
Then the deaths spread across the Chicago area. Mary McFarland, Paula Prince, a 35-year-old flight attendant, Mary Rayner, who had just given birth, 7 people, ages 12 to 35, dead in a matter of days. And at first, nobody understood what connected them. It was 2 off-duty firefighters comparing notes over the radio who first noticed the pattern. Every victim had taken a Tylenol shortly before dying. When investigators tested the bottles, they found the truth. The capsules had been emptied and refilled with potassium cyanide. Not a trace amount. Each poison capsule held enough cyanide to kill thousands of people. The first theory was the obvious one, contamination at the factory, but that fell apart fast. The poison bottles came from the different production plants and different lot numbers, yet they all turned up in the same cluster of Chicago area stores. Factory tampering couldn't explain that. Only one thing could. Investigators concluded the killer walked into local pharmacies and grocery stores, bought or pocketed bottles of Tylenol, took them somewhere private, opened the capsules, packed them with cyanide, and then calmly returned the bottles to the shelves, and then walked out. The victims bought them without a clue. The killer never had to watch them die, he just had to wait. There's one chilling image from this case. A Walgreens security camera captured flight attendant Paula Prince buying her Tylenol at the store on Northwell Street. Investigators later studied that footage, and some believe a figure in the background may have been the killer watching. The FBI put out nearly 30 agents on it. It became one of the largest criminal investigations in American history. And then a letter arrives. Johnson & Johnson, the maker of Tylenol, received a letter demanding $1 million to quote-unquote to stop the killing. The fingerprints on that letter belonged to a man named James Lewis, who at the time was living in Chicago under the alias James Richardson. A nationwide manhunt ended with his arrest in New York in December 1982. Here's a twist that keeps this case unsolved. Lewis was convicted, but only of extortion, for writing the letter. Investigators determined he was living in New York during the poisonings and could never place him in those Chicago stores. He served around 12 to 13 years and walked out in 1995. He denied being the killer his entire life, but there was a detail that haunted investigators. The postmark suggested Lewis may have written that letter before the public even knew the deaths were linked to Tylenol. And Lewis wasn't the only suspect. So, be honest, do you think John Lewis did it?
Think so, because you see his prints were on the label, and he actually he predated the letter also. So this kind of makes me feel like there's a lot of smoke.
A dock worker named Roger Arnold came under suspicion after police found books on poisons and lab equipments in his home. He was eventually ruled out, but the story took a tragic turn. Convinced a local bar owner had informed on him, Arnold shot and killed a man. It was the wrong man. He was sentenced to 30 years. Some people call that victim the eighth casualty of the Tylenol murders. While the killer was never caught, the Tylenol murders changed daily life for every person watching this. Johnson & Johnson made a decision that business schools still teach today. Instead of protecting profits, they pulled every bottle, recalling 31 million bottles of Tylenol nationwide, worth around $100 million. Their market share collapsed from roughly 35% to 7%. Analysts said the brand was finished. Then, just 43 days after the first death, they brought Tylenol back in something no one had ever seen before: triple sealed, tamper resistant packaging. A glued box, a plastic neck seal, and a foil under the cap. That's why to this day, you have to fight your way through a layer of foil to take a headache pill. In 1983, Congress passed the Tylenol bill, making product tampering a federal crime, and the FDA made tamper-evident packaging the law. Every sealed bottle in your home is a direct result of these 7 deaths. The case has never been closed. In July 2023, James Lewis, the only suspect law enforcement ever truly focused on, died at his home in Cambridge, Massachusetts, at 76 of natural causes. He gave one final interview before his death for a Netflix documentary released in 2025. The filmmaker said that when they pressed him with hard questions, they caught him in lies, and for a moment, the man behind the calm exterior frightened them. But the investigation didn't die with him. Police are still running modern DNA testing on the original evidence, working with the forensic genealogy lab, and the families are still waiting. One woman, Linda Morgan, came within seconds of becoming the 8th victim. She opened her bottle, sensed something was wrong, and chose not to take the pill. Decades later, her daughter gave a DNA sample to help the case. 7 people died because they trusted something we all take for granted. The packaging changed forever. The fear never fully went away, and somewhere out there, the person who did this may have simply walked into a store, put the bottles back on the shelf, and gotten away with it. So, that is the Tylenol murders. I won't say it's as satisfactory as you would want a case to be concluded in. Sure enough, the case brought about serious regulations in packaging and make life a little bit more safer.
Yeah, I would say that that is very true. But like you said, I'm not sure. Like, I know the world got to be a safer place, like in the sense the better packaging, like you said. But you know what? I feel like that bit of innocence, right, which was there, like, that personal etiquette, that honor, that nobody will do such thing. I think the world lost a bit of trust that day.
And on that note, we'll be bringing this video to an end. For more such stories and more in depth videos, do leave us a comment. Let us know what your opinions are. And if you have suggestions, let us know too.
Absolutely. See you in the next video, guys. Take care.